The Ferguson community is bracing itself, and the nation is preparing for the grand jury decision to determine the future of Michael Brown's case. Today, the grand jury was expected to decide whether or not to indict Officer Darren Wilson for the fatal shooting of the Missouri teenager. In the days and weeks following the Ferguson shooting, violence erupted in the streets, and racial tensions across the country elevated. With the questions of Officer Wilson's indictment on the horizon, NAZ Today spoke with ethnic studies professor and Flagstaff Ferguson panelist Frederick W. Jr. about the implications of the grand jury's decision.
There's a lot of tension. Their idea is that if he is not indicted, the concern is riots will erupt, people will be upset. This will be another instance or affirmation of the lack of justice. But on the same side, there are people who are saying, well, if he is indicted, Officer Darren Wilson, that may also be a travesty because Darren Wilson was an officer, he's trained to protect and serve, but if his job is being jeopardized, then when does he have the authority or leeway to actually act upon what might be criminal activity? So it's a very hotbed button right now, and depending upon where your politics are is going to determine how you might view or interpret this decision.
Gooding also told NAZ Today that regardless of your political stance, incidents like the shooting in Ferguson are important to talk about as the country moves forward. And here's
silence is probably the worst thing that we can do. So, I mean, just because I'm African American doesn't mean that you have to think that Michael Brown was wrongfully shot. That's not what I'm saying. But I think taking part in the conversation is valuable. Whether we're in Flagstaff or whether in Ferguson, we are all connected to this idea of history. We know in our country, some things have happened in the past that maybe we're not so proud of, and we're trying to progress. We're trying to get better. But we can't do it if we don't talk about these issues. And I think in having town forums or interviews like this, it's a start.